In Chapter 6, we'll be learning about basic dimensions and nodes. In order to manufacture the final design, the complete shape and size description must be shown on the drawing of the design. These magenta lines you see here, offset from the blue object lines, are the dimensions, as well as this basic node right here. When you dimension something, you go off some sort of feature or straight line in this case. So I'm going to show you how to make this part and then set up your dimensioning style as well as how to dimension your part. So now I'm going to click New here to make a new drawing, and we want imperial units. So OK. And the first thing we want to do when we get in here is we want to set up our layers. So to do that, I'm going to click the Layer Properties button here and start typing in my layers. So I'm press the New Layer button here. And the first one, of course, is Construction. Press Enter and Enter again to make a new layer. Go to Up, then Hidden, Center, Dimension, Section, Cutting Plane, Title Block, and Viewport. Now we're going to start changing the colors of these. So we're going to press the color that corresponds with that line. So the center line needs to be red. So we're going to choose red. Construction is a light gray. Cutting plane is a dark gray. Dimension is a magenta. Hidden is a crayon. Object is a blue. Section is white. Title block is green. And viewport is white. Next I'm going to load my line types. So I need to load a center line. I'll load the rest of them right now too. I'll load a hidden line, and last a phantom line. So we're selecting the one for the center, so we're going to select center. Go down to hidden and choose the hidden line. And the cutting plane line will be the phantom line. Next we're going to set up the line weights. So object is going to be 0.6. The hidden lines are going to be 0.3. Cutting plane lines are also 0.6. And the title block is 1.2. Now set your construction layer to current and press OK. Exit out. And the next thing we want to do is set up our object snap. And we're going to set that up to, go to settings. And we're going to set the grid spacing up to 1. Click in the Y spacing and it'll change both of them. Press OK. And the first thing we want to do is make a few construction lines. So we're going to go up to the construction line tool, input V for vertical, and set an arbitrary vertical line. Press spacebar again, and put an H for horizontal. And then we have a point that we're going to go off of now. So now get out your offset tool. I'm going to offset all my vertical lines. So the first one is going to be 2.875. And then the next one is going to be 0.875. 1.625. Now that looks better. Now the next line is an offset of 2. then 1.5, then 0.5, and that should be the last of the vertical lines. Now we do the same for the horizontal lines, and the first one is at 5.75. And then go down 1.75. And then go up 4.5. Okay, those should be all the construction lines that we need to construct this. Next thing we want to do is go to our object layer and basically start connecting the dots of all the intersection points here. So I'm going to start on the side and I'm going to go up the side and over. Oh, we forgot one construction line. I'm going to switch back to my construction layer, go to the offset, switch back to my object line, and then continue on with my object. It might be helpful since we're pretty much just snapping a 90-degree location, so we're just going to turn on ortho. And now we're going to do the same with this side here. Go from here up to this point, and then I'm going to type in tab 120. Kind of raise your cursor a little bit high when you do that. So it locks it down when you start typing in a angle, so just press enter. Now it started a line in that direction. So now I'm going to escape that, and I'm going to make the rest of the geometry down here. Put a line in here. Put a line in here. And I'll put a line that goes clear across the top here. And one more line goes right here, representing this corner point. Now I'm going to use a combination of the extend command and the trim command to clean up this corner right here. So I'm going to use the extend command and choose this line, and then extend this line. Then I'm going to use the trim command and trim off that line. Now I'm going to use a center radius circle and choose the center point and then go up to this point, making it the radius, to fill that in. Then I'm going to use a center diameter circle. This circle has a diameter of 1.75, and then this circle here has a diameter of 0.625. Then we use the trim tool and trim this. Choose these two lines. Get rid of that half of the circle. Once we've done this, we're going to input our hidden and center lines, which represent the top and bottom of these circles, as well as the bottom of this bracket right here from the side view, since we're looking at the back side, which is this side. So I'm switched to my hidden line layer, and actually before we start that, I need to switch back to my construction layer and make a few more construction lines. In the horizontal direction, that'll be the top and bottom of this circle, and the top and the bottom of this circle, as well as this circle. So now we're going to switch back to our hidden line, use the line tool, and fill in these hidden lines. Now we're going to switch to our center line tool, and we want to be approximately a quarter inch off the geometry here. Press escape to end the command. So the next thing we want to do here, I'm going to actually turn off my construction layer at this point since we're done constructing, and I'm going to switch to my object layer. go back to our, reset my radius, and input the actual radius of 0.5, and then do this. Now I'm going to go back up to the fill command, and I want to input a radius of 0.25. And I want to give a radius to this line, and the one on the top up here. Once we have done that, we're going to now, at this point you can save, which would be smart. So now we're going to go to the annotation portion of Ribbon Tool panel, and we're going to set up our dimension style, as well as I'll show you how to dimension this part. So we're going to go press the down arrow on the annotation and go to dimension style. We're going to make a new dimension style and call it mechanical. Press continue here. This window will pop up where we can customize our dimension style. This will represent how our dimensions will be shown with the basic drawing they have here. So we're going to go to primary units, and we're going to select fractional. Notice how these turn to a fraction rather than a decimal. So we're doing that, we're going to go to fit, and under the fit we're going to just show you how you can change the scale of your dimensions if you need to, if the scale is too large here. Then we're going to go to text, and the text height we want to change to 0.125. The default for AutoCAD will be 0.8. Now we're going to go to lines, and we don't want the line dimension to extend beyond 0.125 again. Then we're going to go to symbols and arrows, and we want to change the arrow size as well to 0.125. And the center marks want to extend past these lines a quarter of an inch. Sorry, an eighth of an inch. And we're finished. We're going to press OK. And then we're going to set our mechanical style to current. And the first thing we're going to do is set up our center marks. To do that, we're going to go to the annotation, or the annotate ribbon panel, click the down arrow for dimensions and choose center mark. Then we're going to choose both these circles by left clicking. Go back to home here. I'm actually going to select this center mark that I made for both of these and switch them to my dimension layer. That way we can turn off the dimensions if we have to eventually, or modify the dimensions. So I selected those and selected dimension. I'm going to select my dimension layer. So the first dimension tool I'm going to show you to use is a linear dimension tool. So we press the down arrow and choose linear. We're going to pick 2 points we want the dimension about. So we want it about this point, and dimension should be approximately a ½ inch away from the object. So right about there. So what I did was I left clicked to choose the first point, and then the second point, and then left clicked again to choose where I wanted to place this dimension. So I'm just going to simply press the space bar to re-enter the linear dimension, and I'm going to dimension the rest of this. Be careful that when you have dimensions that have these offset lines at the same point, you don't actually snap to that line. The way you can tell here is, say I accidentally snap to that line in the center point, I'll get a really funky dimension. So we're going to undo here, press the linear dimension, and make sure I'm actually snapping to that corner point. Now I have a more standard dimension. Your first dimension should be approximately a ½ inch off the surface, and then your second should be a quarter inch from that. Now the next dimension will be the height of the overall part. It's really important that you do not over-dimension a part. So in this case, we're showing the height of the object from the side view, but we're not going to show the height of the object from the front view here. Also, we do not dimension off of center or hidden lines. That's another really important fact. Now I'm going to do the dimension of the height, and then the width down here, and the thickness of this part. Now that we have that, we're going to switch to our angular dimension, and we're going to choose this line and this line to get an angle between. Now that means we can get an angle here, out here, or up in this region, which is where we want it, the 30 degrees. Once we've done that, we're going to switch to our radius tool, and we want to choose a radius about this point. So I chose that circle, and then I'm going to pick a point for it. And then we're going to switch to our diameter tool and get the diameter of this circle. Select this, I'm going to press the spacebar again, and then I'm going to select this circle and then select a point for it. Go back to our radius dimension, and we want to radius this dimension right here. It's really important that the arrow is pointing towards the radius and not having a continuation line, which you might get. So to fix that, you might have to zoom in a little bit. Once we've done that, we're going to press the big A here to input a note. And we're going to justify a box here by just simply clicking 2 points to define our box. Inside here, we're going to put rounds and fillets are, so for 1/4 inch. Then click outside of this to end it. So this note lets you know where these points are here and here. Now I just noticed that I made a mistake in the drafting, which is okay since we have 2 different layers set up here. I can go back and fix this. So I can switch back to my object layer and then go to my fillet because I need to have a 1/4 inch fillet here. So I'm going to put R.25, and we're going to select the 2 points we want a fillet about, and connect the lines. So making that modification was easy because we have the layer command. So there you have it, your basic drawing with dimensions and a note.